Hi there, I'm Dr. Bill Wyatt with the American Orthodontic Society, and I'm going to talk to you just a few minutes about retention of Class 3 cases. Class 3 cases relapse very easy if you have done very much with surgery in Class 3. A lot of times the surgeon will ask you to put Class 2 elastics on the people to push their jaw out even further, so when he shortens it, it'll have a little bit to grow forward. Really, in most Class 3s with advanced mandibles, you really need to operate on the maxilla and bring it forward some to correct them. But anyway, I'm sure going to show you how to retain these Class 3 cases, and the surgeons will love you for that. Let's look at this young man. He's a very fine guy, and he's definitely got a Class 3 problem. You can see the chin is protruding out there like that, and we're going to reduce this. I'll just show you. We'll take this chin back in here, and it looks much better. Here's the model showing the it's got a kind of a crossbite on one side, and the Class 3 is worse on one side than it is on the other. You see where your midline is lined up like that, and this side is further around, and then this is kind of in a crossbite here. I think it's a crossbite on the other side also. Alright, let's look at this. The right side of the mouth is really Class 3. I mean, this molar here should end right about in here somewhere, would fit in that area, and it's that far too far, really. So we've got a problem there. I'm going to go back to that. Now the midline is off. Let me go back up. I'm going to have to erase some of those lines. Okay. Now on the left side of the mouth, it's just a mild Class 3. He's got some rotated teeth. You can see this tooth is badly rotated there. I think the other one is too. Looking at the upper arch, nothing that we need to discuss there. Just looking down on this crossbite, you can see this jaw has moved over this way, and it threw this out into a crossbite in this side. There's both lower second bias, are rotated badly, and then we're crowded down here in this area too. So really the lower jaw needed to come a lot further forward. By the time we fixed it for the surgeon, we brought it all the way out and lined it up, and then the surgeon would work on it. But he sent him back to us. Everything was fixed up and lined up good. And you see where it was to start with, and you can see where the surgery brought it. Now in the front, you see where the surgery corrected the midline. It looks perfectly fine now. So he's shifted the jaw around in the surgery, and of course corrected this. We got the two arches kind of coordinated, though they didn't fit. And then he moved the jaw around like that. There's the way the jaw was. There it is now. Alright. On the left side, it wasn't so bad. It was not a big deal. See, it's the class 3, the crossbite in here was bad, but I coordinated the arches and then he just moved them around when he did the surgery. That part worked out nice. And here's the upper arch now lined up, and it's in the midline. Looks real good on it. And now through there. And that's the way it was, and it was more narrow. This was the side that was in the crossbite, you see. Okay, the lower arch now, no crowded problem whatsoever. Here it's lined up real good. Now when we go to retain a class 3 case, we continue to wear some class 3 elastics on these cases. And so instead of putting just a 3 to 3 on them, we run the wire around the bicuspid also. Back in here we put buttons on the cuspids and we wear elastics. Back in this way, I'll show you just a few minutes here. There's what the lower jaw was to start with. See, this part right here was on the outside, and the upper teeth were back in here somewhere. Okay, there's his facial structure before the surgery, and there he is after the surgery. And he certainly looks a lot nicer. This young man was in the Marines, and they were just waiting on him. He went to the first Gulf War, and he made it back safe, and he was driving a Humvee into the battle. You see where the jaw was, and see where it is. Okay. There's his smile after the operation and after the orthodontics. And there he is. Sure made a lot of difference in the way he looks. Now, keeping that, we may have crowded the tongue some. If I could have had him at home and retained it properly, I could have worn class 3 elastics over here to hold that back, see, and it would bring the maxilla forward some, and it'd keep this from going out. But they wouldn't let him wear the retention. He was over in Iraq, and they would not let him wear the retainers. So it started relapsing pretty soon. Okay, this is at 1988. That's where we had him back to that point, you see. And we were wearing class 3 elastics. Now I fixed up the retainer where you see this acrylic pad right here. And he had to snap this retainer over that hump in the 6-year molar. Now we had a hook back here, and he is wearing this elastic off of that hook down to a hook on the cuspid, and I had a 4 to 4 bonded on the lower anteriors. If I could have kept that on him for several years after we got through with it, even though we had crowded the tongue up, these class 3 elastics are pulling the maxilla forward, and they're keeping the lower jaw is trying to grow forward, and it's holding it back. If I could have retained him, I could have kept that. Now the surgeons love you if you know that you can do that. All right, this is the retainer in there. Here's that composite, just a little wedge of composite. You got your tooth or something like that, the wire, something here, and we just build this composite right here on the tooth, and we put the retainer in and etch that and put that acrylic in it, and you have to on one side, you hook it up. On the other side, just bring it up over the wire and hook it, and then take your retainer and come over here, and then you have to pull this retainer wire out a little bit to snap it over this acrylic, you see. And then that retainer, it'll stay in like mad. I mean, you can pull on this elastic all you want to, and it won't pull the retainer out. It'll pull the maxilla forward now while you're doing that. And so it'll work out the problem between the pressure of the tongue. And if you don't do this, on many of those cases, if you hadn't really brought the maxilla out that far, then it will relapse. It'll push the doggone lower jaw on out there. But if you do this, you can hold these cases in after surgery, and the surgeons will love you for being able to do that. All right, we'll show you. Now here is the retainer, you see. This is a good composite. This is snapped over that. You hook the opposite side, it's over there too. And then you bring this one up, the wire will be set right here. You have to either press it and it'll span the wire and it'll snap over there and pop in under that. And you can pull on this class 3 elastic all you want to, and it will not pull that out. Now the class 3 elastics will tend to bring your maxilla down slightly, but if they choose good, it'll hold it up, and it'll bring the anterior teeth up some. But on your retainer, you put a bite plate out there, and that'll keep the lower teeth from over erupting while you're doing that. Now, this is pretty complicated retention, and I'll guarantee you that most orthodontists and people doing orthodontics and whoever the heck you are, there's a lot of you do not understand this. So it's a great thing if you can do it. Now this is mirror shots in here, so you pick up the to stick the mirror in with that rubber band, you're going to get 2 shots of the thing. That's not a rubber band. This is the only one over here, and it'll be on that side. But when I stick the mirror in there, it looks like that. Okay, here's the case. It's got kind of a relapse right there. All right, there it is hooked up. But this is this is a mirror that's stuck in the guy's mouth to be able to get a picture of that. Okay, here he is after we finished, and we'll look at this. There's a 4 to 4 in there. See, it's bonded on here, 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 and this is a bicuspid around over on that side. Let's see, go back, and you can see where you hook your elastic here, and it's bonded all the way back to there. And that'll hold this back and keep this in line as you're doing this. All right, there it is, looking from the top. Put your rubber band on that. Go back up to your retainer, or actually hook it on your retainer and then bend it down here. You can hook your elastic on the retainer before you put it in if you want to. Now these teeth, this is a heavy bar. We don't put a flexible bar in here. This is about an 030 wire, something like that. Maybe an 028. But it's a pretty heavy bar. As you pull back on this whole thing is pushing back like that, and it doesn't tend to crowd this. And you hold this for back. If the tongue pressure is greater than the lip pressure, and you got a surgical case, it will definitely relapse. And this one did, because they would not let him wear this elastic, and I think they even took his retainer from him. Boy, when those Marines are up there, they don't want them having anything distracting them. But this is excellent retention, and you should do this on many of your class 3 cases. All right, here he is wearing the retainer. See, he's got his retainer with the class 3 hook, and there's a clip under here to keep that from coming down. And he's wearing it off of that, and this is bonded from that bicuspid around to the other bicuspid. As you hold this thing back, and over a period of time, the maxilla will come forward some, that the lower arch won't come back because the tongue is pushing on it. So the tongue's holding it out there, and you can take the tongue with this type of retention here. You take the tongue pressure and push the maxilla forward. Now that's saying a mouthful orthodontically. If you can take a retainer and put it in somebody's mouth and hold their teeth in place, put a bite plate on them so these teeth fit right up there, if that's fitting right. Then you come in with this 4-to-4 retainer. Actually, it's just a 3-to-3 extended to the bicuspid. And it has to be a solid bar. I mean, something at least, this is an old 2-8 bar in here. This is an 0-3-6 back in the back. And they're soldered together right in here. See? And I think this bar on the bottom is probably an old 2-8 bar down there. Now, this is darn good orthodontics. So some of you people looking at it probably never thought of doing this, but you can retain class 3 cases. In fact, you could, if you had one lined up good, you could do the class 3 work that way. But you need to go through the orthodontics, and I'd never gotten the midline on like this. You have to need the surgery for it. All right, there it is again. Here's the other side, and this is the young man. Now he came back from Vietnam, and not Vietnam, he went to Iraq. He came back, and I was very glad to see that he was alive. He had driven a Humvee in before the troops just to make sure. Boy, they were running. It was a scary deal, and I really respected him because I was in the Marines myself, and I was very proud of him. And he got back alive, but they wouldn't let him wear the retainer. He had to get rid of that, and so he still looks pretty good, but you see, it has relapsed on him. And I stayed with him, tried to get back in here. He doesn't take care of his teeth as good as I'd like him to. Nice guy, though. You see the midline? You remember the midline was way over here to start with, and now it's kind of relapsed. It's moved over this way some. This was in a crossbite to start, and it's trying to get back in a crossbite again over here. Now, if I could have had him there at home where we could have watched him and stayed with him, I think we would have succeeded in keeping that in a good class 1 relation. Now this retention, this type of retention here, don't turn your nose up at it, because you can do some young men. I've had young men I treated when they were at 12, 14, or 15, and finish them up good. And then when they get, say, 18 or 20, I've even had young people grow even after they were 21 years of age. and it would relapse. In other words, the bottom jaw would go into a crossbite out here. But if you know how to put class 3 retention on and put a retainer in there, now there's nothing crossing the occlusal surface of those teeth. And there's darn few people doing orthodontics really know how to do this class 3 retention. And then you wear this elastics, put your button on your cuspid, but have the 4 to 4. It has to be out of a solid bar now. And the upper has to be in a good solid retainer all the way. And it'll keep it lined up, and it'll hold this back while he tries to grow. Now, as he grows and his jaw wants to come forward, it'll move the maxilla forward. Now, that's darn hard to do. But if the guy, he understands it, and you sit down and talk to him, he will tend to do that if he's really concerned about his teeth. You see, this cuspid is already forward. It's not where it should be. So this is a important video. It's people doing orthodontics. If they want to do good orthodontics and retain it properly, now a lot of surgery cases have to go back and be resurgerized after they're in their 20s or something. And man, that's a lot of expense and a lot of mess to do. So try to learn this video. It's important for you too. Okay, here it relapsed. He's got a darn cavity right there. He needs to get into his dentist and get done. But the 4 to 4 they left on there. This is 1991. He's back home now. He lived through it. So the lower didn't get out of line, but it shoved, the tongue shoved the whole blooming jaw out, you see. He didn't look all that bad, and it's not a big deal, but I hate for him to go through life, but that's what happened. I never did get it back like I wanted it. I'm sorry. Now that's the last video, the last picture I've got of the case here. But you can learn how to do that with what you can see in this video. And you know it'll work. And I use this on a lot of class 3 cases. Now he's not really going through here with the little, poking that little hard part of a floss through here, or a little brush, keeping that clean. It's got a lot of crud on that. And of course, I doubt if he's seen a dentist since he left. So anyway, good luck, and then try to use this. This is a good retention way that is not known very much, or at least it's not done. I've never seen anybody with it on. I was the first one, and I've never seen one out of anybody's office. So I'm going to stop now, and we'll end this video. Thank you, and I hope you'll watch it and learn from it. Thank you a lot.